Alrighty, today is May 27th, 2025. We're going to be going over penny stocks of the day. Overall, so far, May has been pretty dog shit. So there's not a whole lot to review. There is some. I'm mostly going to be doing here pattern recognition, dailies, and news and stuff like that. Kind of going to keep that out of the picture to keep things short here. But we're going to start with AEON. In this market, we've had probably most days there's like 2 or 3 stocks that run midday with no pre-market structure to it. So no pre-market structure being there's really nothing over here. Usually we'll have day one setups, high volume, people are very interested in. These have actually been probably the better opportunities lately. Most of the day one structures actually tend to fade off the side of a fucking cliff. So here we go. We're gonna start with AEON. Kind of coming onto the radar probably around here. Pick up some volume down here as well. For me personally, they're gonna need a lot more volume than this on a sub-dollar ticker, preferably in the millions. So once we get up here, this volume's a lot better. Pretty much anything over a million is pretty good. One of the main patterns I've seen, especially last week, and actually on Friday we saw a lot of, was more of a 1 minute, 5 minute flag right here, holding kind of like a previous pivot and a daily pivot. So we have a 70 pivot here, and then a push back from here all the way back to a lot of times a double top. So we bring this back up here. So usually you want to have some ads down here in this area, and then sell points up here. These can run higher, but for me, what I like to do is heavy sells in this area. I rarely leave runners in this market just because, yeah, this market's kind of dog shit until I see more stable conditions. I'm more of in a scalp mode, but this is pretty much all it had to offer here. In my opinion, kind of like a scalp here from 70 to 84. I mean, that's still a 20% scalp. It's still pretty good. But other than this, we do see the classic kind of volcano afterwards. Follow through is tough to understand and see if it's going to follow through. But this deep pullback here, I did actually try some here just in case if it kind of rebuilt back itself. We did see a lot of times on Friday. Last Friday, that things would kind of get near the 150 here. This yellow line for me is the 150. It would break down through, reclaim, and then kind of put in like a bullish flag and continue going. This thing unfortunately did not do that, but sometimes you gotta take the chance. The next one's going to be CAPT, capped. RIP to this one. We have the same type of setup here. Gets on the radar. The volume was not as good. Typically when you have less volume like this, you have a lot more chop and spread and things like that. So there was this area here for me that I was looking at. I did not get this one. Was kind of more focused on AEON. Push here, again, nice 1 minute to 5 minute flag depending. Typically you want to let it settle a little bit. So this candle like right here is good to have. Shows at least some form of bid support there, and then we get a bid swipe through here, and then a hold, some good ads possibly back through 61, and then again another double top, and then just insta fade. So CAPT, AEON, very similar in their results. Moving over to devs. Let's see, devs. Devs is a multi-day runner, and typically these don't do well, especially in this market. They do well if there's no pre-market and then they get a random spike, just like CAP did or AEON. But if it's ran yesterday, the day before, usually pre-market's the best time to get in. If you go back to let's see, May 14th it ran. I think it may have ran before that too. Yeah, so this thing has been running for like half of fucking May. So again, this is all pretty much backside, right? So the top here is 138. Comes back here, doesn't break pre-market highs here. So on, yeah, May 14th again. So tries to rotate, fails at $1, doesn't break pre-market highs. The next day we have some form of volume, was yesterday or Friday. And this is kind of the bull flag setup I was talking about, where we do have, you know, Cap and AEON both look like this. 1 minute flag down to here, and then kind of like this double top. And instead of just fading out, it kind of holds here for a little bit, consolidates, and then pushes back, and then kind of keeps going. We're going to get to that on LVWR here in a little bit, but nice kind of bull flag setup. Kind of have this upwards channel, and then a nice leg breakout. Super nice. Something like this, though, is kind of get choppy, though. But anyways, that was Friday. And we come here. It tries to test those same highs at 73. And I think I took some here off the open, off this candle, off of this 61 area. I tried it once here, and I tried it once like down here. We do have the daily pivot at 5555555. We have the Intra 200, which is always a good kind of pivot point. A lot of times things will pivot off of this area. Point being, last week again, a couple tickers like to go straight up at the open bell. So I was trying to catch this move from basically here at 61 to like this zone right here. Pretty much anywhere up near the pre-market highs, and then just sell off it right here, because this is also a typical pattern of open bell. It starts here at open, pushes all the way up, breaks VWAP, then comes all the way back down. Plenty of examples on Friday if you have a list of the top gainers from there. But week opens like this tend, especially on a multi-day runner like Devs here, week opens like this tend to just die. I know a lot of people try to like fight this. Yes, this could rotate maybe back to like 61, 62 VWAP level, but for this to come up here, hypothetically, come back down, and then get this big push through here, just doesn't happen in this market right now. Not enough volume. If this had no pre-market, maybe we could get this push, but usually anything with a pre-market structure like this, especially multi-day, if it starts to fade in the first, you know, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, you see this right here, this box. Sorry, there's a ton of shit right here. Let's get rid of some stuff. To me, I was pretty much done with this. This candle right here was its saving grace. Maybe it pushes here, but haven't seen a whole lot of that lately. Usually it's right off the rip. It's within the first two candles. If it does not go, it's pretty much dead. So I stayed away from that after the first couple of attempts there. All right, moving over to EJH. This one was a weird one. I typically stay away from things around 10 cents. They typically suck. But I had this weird spike yesterday, kind of volcano type thing. Again, you have this 1 minute flag, double top death. We're seeing this pattern a whole lot. So, but 16 cents was the high here on Friday. It opens well below that. We get this push all the way to 20 cents. And let's see. I really didn't think this was going to be the winner today. Typically, stuff like this that's fading off this hard, way under VWAP, tends to just die. But we do get a push here. Again, if you do get a push under VWAP, it tends to fail under VWAP. I did not take anything down here. Just have not seen this pattern work. I think at all last week. I don't remember seeing one ticker last week that did something similar to this. However, you know, it's the stock market. Anything can happen. That's why it is an art. But it pushes here. It holds this Intra 200. And then there's a slow grind. Slow grind upwards. Once it got to, let's see, here I was actually kind of interested, because once it got, so one tap here, two tap here isn't out of the ordinary. For this to come here, I wouldn't have been surprised. It went all the way back down to here and just died off at 10 cents. So we do get this slow grind upwards. I did try to take some here and it didn't really work out. I'm not too sure fucking why. I got stopped out by like 0.001 here, and then I just said fuck it, because we're below this 16 level again. Bad decision on my part. This is probably one of the best trade setups of the day. But coming after a long weekend, sometimes it's hard to get in rhythm with things. But again, we have multiple reasons that this could work. You have a gap level fill at 15.6, so essentially 16 cents here. And so because this didn't get all the way to 20 cents, everyone's thought process as well, if it holds this area, you have VWAP, you have 1, you have VWAP, 2, you have a gap level, 3, dip to the previous high here, and then 4, we are still technically not broken down from 16.4. Yes, we did break it, but we're not officially holding under and kind of getting heavy in this area. So 4 or 5 reasons to attack the stock here. So confluence is a big thing, obviously. It does rotate. It comes back down, touches this 6.4. Another good pivot point right here. Another good pivot adds. And then straight up into 24. So it breaks through 20 and it breaks through pre-market highs. And then from there, there's a space here on the daily that doesn't have a whole lot of resistance. So it goes all the way up to this next gap level at 24 and then fades off. So you don't get this pre-market high base and go. We have not seen that either. We haven't, usually stuff that breaks pre-market high like this tends to just fade off. So typical of that. I didn't take anything here. Usually I would be all over this type of play, but I just let it go. Was trading other things, but EJH was very good momentum out of the gates. Sustained push here. I would say probably the best ads were in this area as far as confluence goes. But yeah, that was pretty good. So moving on to FAAS. Alright, so this one's another multi-day runner. Looking back here, 519 it ran, highs of 65. And let's see. Floss gets to 60, or no, not 65. Breaks 65, gets to around 85 on Friday. And then today coming back, it gets all the way to the daily 200 in pre-market. Flags into open. And then it has this kind of mini W pattern here, breaks VWAP, and then dies out. So this is the pattern I was talking about before. A lot of things just break through and then die out. You also have this key level at 115. So let's go and see that level real quick. So yeah, you can clearly see here tons of this zone right here is super heavy. So that is why I kind of mark these kind of levels for something like that to get over. But yeah, I stayed away. This could have been a halt stock and it wasn't. Anything coming from under $1 into the dollar range tends to halt a lot if it has a lot of volume. If this broke over to, I honestly, what I could have seen happen here, straight up into a halt, maybe like around 115, 116, 117, and then just instant drop like this. But get that later on, and then just dies out. So anything again that looks like this, after this candle, I would just stay away, especially in this May market, this summer market right now. All right, moving over to Hollow. Hollow, week open here. It does this move in pre-market, which kind of killed it. We are seeing this usually at open, but a couple minutes before market open, this kills the vibe, especially getting near this $7 pivot. And so if we look at 7 on the daily, Let's see. Again, marking zones, you know, you have something like that. This zone, hard to get over. So there you go, there's your zone. It gets there, rejects. Gets there, it does push here, gets there, reject, gets there, reject. And with this current market, I am more bearish than bullish. So when you see something already make the move, I tend to stay away. And if I'm gonna take something, usually take lower size. So, but you can see it's just drowning under this level, very heavy, and then death. So that's why we stay away from things like that. Moving over to LVWR. This one was a beauty that I already logged off around 11, I think. But you have this initial push. You don't get the, we don't really get the 1 minute, 5 minute pullback and then double top here, which probably helped it. But you have this nice kind of push down, and this could have died off. You get this re-push here, doesn't get back to kind of pre-market highs, comes back down. These are the ads right here, this area. To me, this is the gold area. This is the shit. I didn't see this. I'm gonna chase this. This is a little bit foolish here probably, but you could probably take it. Who knows? And yeah. So the reason these are the golden area spot is you have a higher low from this. We haven't reached this level yet. So if it is gonna rotate, there's a good chance that this is going to at least rotate into double top area. And like we've seen on Friday, we saw at least 2 tickers do this move. 2 or 3, I think. Kind of bull flag it and then push out. So really good ads here, especially off this 155 pivot and over top of the 150. And then, yeah, she grinds up to 240 is another kind of pivotal level. It breaks that and then ends up just going flat. So you want to be in on the front side of these moves. You don't want to be the first one to get in. Very tough because there's 1 or 2 great moves or great areas to add for a bull these days. And if you don't get them, you usually have to chase or you'll get bags. So, but this was a really good flag here. Let's see, lower volume here. Some weird volume candles here. But you see this right here. Key takeaway. You see that here. You also see that. I don't know what I did there. Here. You want to see this type of move and then a push. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. But yeah, good moves here. Good holds. And then pushes out. So LVWR, I think, gets the award for best trade of the day for small caps. Now we have SBET. I'm not really going to go over this. These are kind of not in my wheelhouse, and I don't really do well with these high ticker ones. However, what we do see though here is basically another kind of like bull flag here. So you have this fade here, holds, kind of grinds upwards. To me, I mean, maybe here, maybe dip the previous high and then push. But again, I'm not gonna get into this. SBET was pretty cool to see, but not something I really trade nor plan to in the future. Works was another day one kind of one. We had, let's see. If we go back to our 30-day, it did run on May 8th, high of 115. A few pops here and there, but nothing sustained. Let's see. So we did mark this as kind of like a previous day high, set up this pink 73 line. So it is flagging over top of that. After doing a report from last week, a lot of the times things opening over VWAP like this, either, you know, a lot of the times tend to just fail. They'll go sideways and fail. Rarely do you see something that's already up like this push, but if it does push and have a like first 5 minutes up only, it will come all the way back down. So there's a little bit of hesitancy on this one. However, we are over 73. So, but we get this push and then insta fail. Once you get this candle, for me, I'm out. I'm out. And I didn't trade this, but this candle here tells me I'm done. And until something like this holds, pushes, has momentum, black swans, count me out. I'll gladly take a ticker off of my watch list to focus on things like LVWR or AEON or EJH. So pro tip, just take it off the watch list if you can get distracted. But all right, last one on my list. There could have been a couple others, but these are what I have. Xena, no volume pre-markets. Wasn't on my watch list to start the day. It does fade into the Intra 200 and bounces off it. I would never take this. I probably wouldn't take this either. However, you do see this kind of 1 minute flag pushing. I pretty much was watching it around here. I wanted to take this dip to the pre-market high of 295 right here. It came and gone. I looked at it, was ready to pull the trigger, and by the time I wanted to, already fucking went. It was pretty quick with it, but good ads here, and I thought it would be done right here. Typical kind of like double top 1 minute flag, but it ends up holding. Kind of, not really. I would say that's not really a trend line to me. You do have this nice flag, this ascending bullish flag here though, right there. So you have your stick up right here. Fuck. Okay, yeah, your stick up here. You have your uptrend here. You have your flat top here. If we were in a hotter market, I'd probably be all over this. But because we aren't, just adding this high up, to me, the risk is just sometimes not worth it. Sometimes not worth it. So it makes this market very difficult. You get burned too many times, then you kind of avoid stuff like this. But it is nice to see kind of like a bullish setup actually work. Push into this. I thought it would get to this 391 because I did actually add. I added some, I think, on this candle for a possible rotation back. Cut it like around here. But yeah, so once you see this candle though, it was donesy. But overall, again, this is the reason why being in early, especially on these no pre-market moves, news in the middle of the day type of runners is important. But finding the best area to get in is a little bit difficult. So that is going to be it for pattern recognition for today. Hopefully we get into a hotter market zone.